Right, well, welcome everyone. Part two, sorry, still, calling me to order at 6:02 p.m. And just as a note, Suresh should be calling in from Bangalore, India, and if he does, I have.
I'm actually hearing
We order telecom.
Well, let's do promotion as panelists. You should join. Okay. There's Rush. Oh,
Let's see.
yeah.
We have, hello Suresh.
That's not.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Dan, greetings. Need you, follow the teleconferencing guidelines and read something to you. Can you please confirm, that the teleconference location was properly noticed according to state law, and the teleconference location is accessible to members of the public, and whether anyone is present in the teleconference location besides the member?
Okay, confirmed, and I'm alone. There's nobody here with me at this time.
Thanks, Suresh. I would ask for the commissioners at large if you can help me keep an eye on Suresh. He has a question or his hand raised to make sure that I'm aware. Do my best. Thank you. I'd like to establish quorum, like a roll call.
All right. Commissioner Roth. Commissioner Roth. Commissioner Schneider. Here. Commissioner Lee. Mostly here. Vice Chair, I think so. Commissioner Katz here. Commissioner Venkataraman.
Here, I'm here.
And Chair Pietro.
Here.
Another one.
Thank you. Pledge of allegiance, everyone please stand. On the count of three, 1, 2, 3. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And for public comments not on the agenda, we currently have 2 comment cards. The order they were received. First off, we have Karin. Karin, thank you, Karin. Sorry about that. Karin, which order? You have 3 minutes. Are you speaking individually or separately?
I don't think, do you want to speak? You want me to?
You can go.
Okay,
Great, thank you, welcome.
thank you. So we live at 1225 South Springer Road, which is right around the corner from Loyola Elementary School on Berry. And what has happened recently is there's now a no parking designation in front of our house. And so it's super inconvenient for us for a variety of reasons, which I can go into. But so first of all, we're cyclists ourselves, and we really are appreciative of what the city has done to make it safer for cyclists. Now when we ride our bikes behind Los Altos High, I'm not worried about a car door opening from a parked car and going flying over the handlebar. So I feel really good about that, and we really appreciate that. And so we're all for having safety for pedestrians, cyclists, and vehicles. What we don't understand is how a no parking designation in front of our house makes it safer for anyone. We have observed on multiple days now, people turning right onto Berry Street during the super busy times when they're either taking their children to school or picking them up. And it does get quite busy, and we have noticed that cars do back up, and they move over into the right lane, usually right kind of past our house, but sometimes they back up and they're in front of our house. And there's plenty of room for them to move over, to turn right, and to let the cars go straight on Springer. And we actually have seen it happen with our car parked there and with our car not parked there. And the behavior is no different, regardless of whether our car is parked there or not. So we are definitely supportive of making things safer, but we just do not understand how it could possibly make it safer to have no cars parked there. Because we're way far back from the corner, right? There's another house there. And we understand that it needs to be no parking 20 feet from the corner. But we just don't see any law or any, like, we just haven't heard about anything that would warrant, having that as no parking to make it safer. And I could go into how inconvenient it is, but I think that we just want to understand. We'll put up with inconvenience of our friends and family and people coming to do work on our house, have no place to park. They just park in our, like, the workers just park blocking our driveway, which is also illegal, but they don't have any choice. So it's really, the mailman can't deliver mail if we're parked in the one little spot that is available in front of our house because it blocks our mailboxes. So those are just a few of the things that we're encountering that make it very inconvenient.
Any questions from the commission?
You said 1225 Spring?
South Springer, yeah, right across from Rancho Shopping Center and across streets from Foothill and Berry.
I'll make note that she also sent us the email that was forwarded on from Art, so there's more details there. If anyone wants to look back into the numbers, schematics, and then videos that were shared as well and other information.
So what's the next step?
Next step is, well, we have the option as a commission to discuss this topic or other topics, but right now we've taken your public comment and then we have the ability to proceed forward with it.
So will you talk about it in the meeting or?
Not,
Not
this
today.
meeting today is not on the agenda. This is,
Okay.
you're able to,
Okay.
as a citizen, to make a public comment not on the agenda, and then we have the ability to proceed forward with actions.
So you'll let us know if it's gonna be on the next agenda.
Yeah, I'll send you an email,
Okay.
as with.
Great, thank you.
With the city staff.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Any other questions? Suresh, anyone else? No.
No, thanks.
Thank you. Next up is Mark. Mark here is here to talk about Bike Month, Electric Living Fair, and Biking Down.
Hello, Mark Seidel. Good to see you all. First thing, I just wanted to bring up Bike Month. It's something that the city has supported a number of years, but I haven't heard anything about it yet this year. Maybe it's not being organized, I don't know, but I thought I would at least call attention to it and see what the plan was there. Not really to ask questions, make comments, but it would be great to organize things. If you don't, we do have a few events coming up in May that I sent an email to the commission and the staff saying that first we've got on May 3rd is the Living Electric Fair, and it's all about electrification, but there is a section specifically about transportation, which is what applies here. We have a few e-bikes. We didn't get any other micromobility like skateboards or one wheels this year, so it's really just going to be e-bikes in that micromobility section. And last year we had PD and folks from the commission come out and engage with the community. I thought that was great, and I just wanted to make sure that you all heard and the invitation to come back. I think PD will come back and be there, but it'd be great if you have a reason to engage with the community about anything that you're working on transportation wise. This is just a platform for you, so I hope that you'll consider using it. Similar as we've got the Bike and Dine coming up on May 15th, it's a Friday. And if the city commission PD wants to be there to engage similarly, that invitation is open to you. Any questions?
Mark?
When is Bike Month, April or May?
Usually May.
May.
It's not a question. I would just like to mention that last year I attended the fair and was present in the booth where and the e-bikes were, and there were a couple of vendors there that represented them, and the police department was also there with small little token gifts for little kids that came over. And it was a great way to educate parents on the differences between class 1, 2, and 3 e-bikes and talk about safety issues if those things came up. So I think it's a good use of commissioner time, and I will make the point of being there again.
Thank you, Mark. One of the, I guess, to correlate Mark's update to our work plan, this relates to things that we'll be talking about later on for prioritizations for project number 2 underneath improved pedestrian and multimodal paths. That's underneath section B, work with community organizations to educate, engage students and the community at large. And the other one is Project 4, which is bike walk and wheel safety and programming. So we can discuss that later on and see how we can further get involved and support the cause. Thank you, Mark.
Can I make one other comment?
Yes, please.
So I attended the meeting that was hosted by the county here, just a couple days ago about the foothill feasibility study. There was a lot of concern about the different options they laid out, but what I was excited to hear was it seemed like there was consensus around both from the two alternatives they presented and the community at large that the intersections really need to be dealt with, and there was a lot of support for that. So I just want to say I heard that, I agree with it, and I hope that the city can be aggressive about seeing those intersections updated and made a lot safer, if nothing else.
Thank you, Mark. And last thing, public comments. Long time listener, not first time caller. Carolyn, please, welcome.
Your faces, you know. Actually, I want to tell you that I heard from many people, thumbs up, 2 thumbs up for El Monte changes. People are really excited about that. Really, really pleased, love the barriers. People feel a lot safer there. Just really great. I also want to say that the bike and dine is great. It was the first time I've ever eaten out in Los Altos. It was, I know,
What?
but I usually like to Palo Avenue or Palo Alto or someplace else. Sorry, guys. So it's just easier to bike for some reason over there. But it was wonderful and it was really beautiful biking back. I went through the gardens at the community center area. It was really wonderful. Also last night, you should take a look at the first 10 minutes or so. One of our students from Los Altos High School spoke in favor of San Antonio Road. I also did a bike bus and Terry Barton is organizing another one to Santa Rita next Tuesday. So these are getting the kids, just like the cigarette companies, you have to get them booked early. And we're doing that. So it's gonna be exciting. Bike to Wherever Day is May 14th. So it would be great to have an Energizer station in Los Altos. People interested in that? It used to be at the library. So that's something to think about. Another thing is that some parents have raised a concern about sort of the straight stretch between Almond Avenue and maybe Hawthorne or so on Gordon. There's just not, it's very, very, cars end up going really fast, especially with young student drivers.
And Hawthorne? Yes, the north.
So Eden.
Outside of the high school, yeah.
Yeah, going toward the high school or away from the high school.
Yes.
So, is this on the work plan or anything like that to try to slow things down?
Thank you.
Whether there's interest in that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
In the event you didn't see Carolyn's email, she sent one which was forwarded on earlier today from Art, so it also addressed other biking issues and bike safety along San Antonio Road. Thank you everyone for your public comment. Next up on the agenda is the consent calendar. Minutes approved from the last regular meeting on February 25th. Motion for the approval. Motion by Kevin Rowe, second by Tony. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any abstentions? You abstain?
I abstain because I wasn't here, so
Okay, you abstain.
I understand.
Abstain? Suresh, your vote, can you state your vote? Unclear.
Yeah, approved.
Approved, thank you.
You did raise it. So
Yeah,
abstain was Commissioner Kent.
yes.
And everybody else.
7,000. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Approved. Moving forward, informational items only. It just says note, there will be no discussion or action on this information item. So do not ask comments at this time. This is for strictly information sharing. And Stephen Sun, traffic engineer, will talk about the North San Antonio Road Complete Streets project. This is scope of work.
Steve, do you how much your panelists? I think we did how much your panelists, right? You putting something on that, Steve?
Yeah.
Let me promote you there.
Yeah, thanks. Just in case you have questions or thoughts, please write them down. In the event we need to create a future agenda item for this topic, we we'll do such. We'll plan for it in the following meetings. But at this time, once again, from the public and for the commissioners, this is strictly in the commission show. Are you, Stephen? No.
Good evening, commissioners. I just want to talk to you guys regarding the San Antonio project. That has been a major point of discussion for the last 3 years in this city. The reason why I'm bringing this thing up is we finally are at a point where we're ready to get started on it. But I wanted to have a certain level of expectation from the commissioners as well as the public. So I would like to share with you guys what is what we got approved with the grant. What are some of the issues that needs to be addressed? And what are some of the challenges that we need to try to figure out? And this is all before we even start doing any facility design at this point in time. So let me just start my PowerPoint presentation now. So first things first, one thing I do want to share with everybody is the San Antonio OVAC free funding is not what everybody perceived it was going to do. Can you explain how that comes? Okay, so OVAC is sorry about that. I'm gonna expect this thing to be slow as this. Back in 2023, my predecessors have applied for and awarded a project to basically bring multimodal transportation through San Antonio from Foothill all the way to El Camino. So that is a 1.9 mile stretch that goes through the heart of our city and is a major thoroughfare for us. So let me kind of give you a little bit of a background. Like I said, in 2023, we were given the OVAC funding. Now, this is funding that is federal funded, that is pooled in with some of the transportation funds from local, that is gone after as a grant application and is a competitive process. And the city has been very successful in getting this because we're basically telling the MTC that we are going to make some improvements along San Antonio to bring an ability of San Antonio to have multimodal transportation. What I mean by that is bicycle, pedestrian, vehicles, and at the same time improve safety along this corridor. So the stuff that was talked about is enhancing the crosswalks. So let me kind of give you a little general idea of what the grant application was that we applied for and what we did get. So the project, like I stated it was a 1.9 mile project. The intent of the project is to install protected bicycle lane. So it was our intent to place a class 4 bike lane using bollards and vertical delineators to provide a separation between the bicyclist and the vehicle traveling through this area. We were supposed to provide pedestrian safety. We're going to provide high visibility crosswalk and lighting to bring visibility at night. Traffic calming by narrowing the width of the travel lane and reconstructing the median. So the intent is to slow everybody down, like what we've been doing on our annual streets. Narrow the roads, put structures along the side to force the people to slow down. And integrate transit, which means that we're trying to provide transit, the bus stops, integrate that with bicycle facility. So you can basically ride the bus to San Antonio. Once you get off on it, you can go ahead and use bicycle lanes to get to your ultimate destination. So those were the 4 criteria that when they applied for the grant, this is what we said we would do. So given the fact that we have awarded the grant in May 2024, our city council basically reiterated to MTC that we're going to go ahead and deliver this project. So we committed our funds and our commitment saying that we're going to use our staff to go ahead and deliver this project. Because OVAC is a blend of both state and federal, we have to utilize the federal guidelines. That means all federal requirements is applicable on this project. Because federal is a lot stricter than state requirements, we have to follow the federal requirements. The general rule of thumb is anytime, even if there's 1 penny of federal funds, you have not federalized this project. So because it is federal funded, we have to get various approval for each phase of this project. So prior to us starting using the money, we have to apply for it and get approval from the Federal Highway Administration. In the state of California, Caltrans works as on behalf of the federal government. So they do all the necessary paperwork, they process all the paperwork, and then they send it to DC for final approval. Once this approval, Caltrans basically states to us that they have secured the funding from the federal government. Now they're ready to basically allow us to start using our money, and they're going to reimburse us for it. So that means that every phase of this project has to be approved by Federal Highway Administration. Caltrans does approval on their behalf. So we have to go through what's called the PE phase, is a preliminary engineering phase, that's the design. We have to go through EA, which is the environmental assessment. We have to go through the right-of-way certification, saying that we have enough right-of-way, and construction. So kind of give the commissioner a general idea of what it does in each phase. On the preliminary engineering phase, which is the design, staff had to get all necessary forms into the federal government saying that this is what we're going to do. So we kind of give preliminary environmental documentation on saying, here is the impact so that we can get started on the design. So we have gone through that whole process. We now have our final supplemental agreement signed by the state saying you are not authorized to proceed with the design. So we're in the preliminary design at this point in time. We're starting the design phase. In the environmental assessment, we're basically later on down the road, you prepare a 30% design of what you're going to be or what you're going to be building. And based on that 30% design, you're now going to see what are the environmental impacts of this road. Are we going to impact noise to the residents? Are we going to impact any native vegetations? Are we going to impact any endangered species? You're going to basically do a whole environmental study and basically say whether it's going to have an impact or not. If it does have an impact, then we have to figure out how we're going to mitigate it. So these are the Federal Highway Administration's process of going through it. The next phase is right-of-way certification. So right-of-way certification basically means that the agency who is administering the funds has to have the right to build what you wanted to build. So we're certifying that we have the necessary right-of-way, because it makes no sense for us to build something on someone else's property that is not ours. Final is the construction. So within each phase, once you get authorization, we have basically our clock is ticking. We have two phases that we have to satisfy every single time we go through the process. First, we got to show progress. That means they need to start seeing something via copies of invoices every 6 months, or else we go on what is called inactive list. So we start getting on their watch list. We got to make sure that the whole phase is completed in 5 years. So each phase allows us to spend up to 5 years to do it. Now, it's actually 4, but the 5th year is you can ask for that extension. So it's 5 years. So these are the various phases we have to go through. Failure to follow this process also jeopardizes our funding for this project. Okay, so we are very cautious as we go through this. We're also due diligent and necessary paperwork that we have to submit to them. So like I stated, the project itself has to go through the process. Now, this is what is submitted as our grant application. If you notice, it doesn't show really a whole lot of details. This basically is linear layout. Basically saying, this is what it is, this is what we want to do. That's all. There's no engineering involved. It was just a rendering. So this right here is at El Camino in San Antonio. The orange, I don't know if you can see it or not, but the orange is basically saying, we're gonna fix this median. Okay, this is indicating that we are putting in a buffer between the travel lane and the bicycle lane. We're also upgrading or installing new striping for the road so that it becomes more visible. So please keep in mind that what is shown doesn't have a whole lot of detail. It's just, here's a rendering of what we want to do. So as you go through the process, it has various different kinds of layout. It's talking about putting in modified medians in between El Portal and Jordan. It's talking about upgrading the median from existing 2-inch reveal to a full 6-inch reveal so that cars cannot come in or just feels narrow as you're traveling through the area. So it kind of gives you a general idea of what they're applying for. So I'm just kind of going through really quickly. The problem with this is we have a general idea of what they want, but it was never really documented in any of the forms that I was able to determine. It does not show any modification to the existing pavement. It's just striping. So basically all you're doing is rounding out the existing striping, putting back new ones, making modification to the median. That's all you're doing. So this is the crux of where a lot of the information of what they proposed to do as this project application was submitted. It kind of gives me an idea of what is it that the thought process is. So as I'm going through this, you can see that this, starting at number 10, is the critical part. Is a concrete curb and gutter. They're proposing to go ahead and put new medians on the whole San Antonio Road. Their estimate is going to be about 17,000 linear feet. They're going to restore the median island with the new vegetation. It's lump sum, new irrigation system, pedestrian scale street lighting. So they're proposing to add lightings to the crosswalks area. So they're proposing to put conduits in, they're putting new wires in, and so on. Install 12-inch white and yellow striping. So basically it shows for the delineation of the lines and so on. So as I'm going through this, I'm looking at this going, something doesn't look right. The quantity doesn't look right. Like I said, 1.9 miles from El Camino to Foothill, there's more than 17,000 linear feet. So what they're proposing is only 1 lane. It's actually about 19,000 linear feet is what I measured. Well, San Antonio is a 4-lane road, so that quantity should be double that. I've also noticed that there is no repairs of the road itself. I don't know if you have driven San Antonio. The road itself is deteriorating. There is alligator cracking sections of the road where the asphalt has failed. I've also seen sections of the road where the road has started running. What I mean by running is this. When you look at an asphalt road, it should be level. But because the braking movement of the cars, because of the heavy vehicles, the asphalt is moving basically. So after a while, instead of seeing a level asphalt, we'll start seeing right where the wheel wells are, starting to see depressions. You will start seeing that right around Edith Main Street entrance, right around that area. The rutting, you can't really notice it unless you start walking and looking at the road. Those has to be addressed. A lot of the alligator cracking that's going on is also on a number 2 lane, which is where the bicycle lane is going to be. So it makes it very difficult for us to put structures on top of an asphalt road that is failing, which is not a very good practice to do because we could spend $7.9 million and we may have to tear it all out, fix the road. So this estimate should have done all that. I don't see it here. So big red flag. I want to kind of give you stepping back, I want to kind of give you an idea of where we're at. Like I stated, we have received full authorization from Caltrans to proceed with the project. Okay. While reviewing the information that I was able to come up with, I'm seeing big red flags that we need to try to address. What I've shown you doesn't give you any information about any issues that they thought about fixing. It doesn't have anything to do with pavement repairs. It's just basically putting in new lane lines and fixing medians. It does not address the fact that we have to upgrade the ADA requirements because this is a federally funded project. Anytime you have a federally funded project by CFR, Code of Federal Regulations, states you have to upgrade all ADAs in the list of the project to meet current standards, unless that ramp is installed to meet the current requirement at the time when a ramp is installed. Okay, so that's how the ADA is written. Code of Federal Regulation also states you have to follow this because this is the code of the land. You deviate from this, now the city takes on huge liabilities because there's no more anonymity. If someone gets hurt because you're not following any codes, you're not following any standards. So definitely that. Condition of the payment is not addressed in that grant application estimate. The quantity of the estimate is not adequate enough to what we need to do. The application doesn't show us a whole lot of information on what the thought process was. I'm going to break down each issues one by one. First one was difficult to implement what was submitted to the grant application fund as part of OVAC 3. The grant states that we're going to narrow the lanes to force people to slow down like what we've been doing with the project. The problem is the existing lane is already 11 feet wide. San Antonio is a major thoroughfare where we do have big flow of traffic. I would not recommend that one go down to 10.5. I would keep that as 11, just because the size of the vehicles that travel through the area. Otherwise, you're going to make it feel very uncomfortable for people to drive. So the roads cannot be narrowed any further, but yet the grant application says it's going to be narrow. We can't do that. The bicycle lane is only at 5 foot standard. Because the lane is already 11 feet, bicycle lane is already 5 feet. As you can see from this the aerial photos, there is no room for me to put a buffer in between the bicycle lane and the travel lane. Condition of the road. I didn't have to go far to see these conditions. The road itself is unraveling. I don't know if you notice it or not, but in this first one right here, you see all these cracking going on the road. This is actually a patch of a repair that was done for utilities. Not only is the road cracking, but it's hard to tell, but the road is actually sinking because when it was compacted, it wasn't done correctly. So as the road is sinking, the road's deteriorating faster. This right here is around an existing manhole. These basically are floating. So you can literally go out there, pick up the asphalt, and there's going to be a hole. I mean, the only reason why I did not remove it is because I don't want to cause a hazard. But literally, these asphalts, only reason why it's still there is based on weight of the asphalt that's keeping it in place. But if you stand right next to it, you can hear the asphalt rattling as a harsh. As I stated, quantity, cost estimate is inadequate. The grant application does not provide adequate for me to really assess what was the thought process going through this process. I am not trying to bash my predecessor, but I'm trying to figure out what the thought process was, because it does not meet a lot of federal requirements when it comes to federal funds. What is the next thing? I need to reevaluate the cost estimate that was done. And for me to go ahead and do that, I started going out there and start marking all the locations that we're going to have to do some sort of major repairs. I went out there with a fresh new can of paint. And I wasn't even a quarter of the way through and I ran out of paint from buying Martin. After a while, I was like, it's just not worth Martin anymore. I need to assess, can we deliver this project? I also need to assess what is the financial impact to the city. Right now, we're at 9.7 million. In my knee-jerk reaction, it's 15 to 16 million. But that's my knee-jerk reaction. What is the true scope of the project to meet the intent of the grant? For me to go ahead and apply the class 4 bicycle lane that we applied for, I need to figure out what is the true scope of work that I need to get done so I can apply that class 4 bicycle lane. What I was able to find was somewhat of a cost estimate that was done that they really should have applied for. Now, I don't know what the condition of the road was back in 2022, 23. Talking with staff who on the street maintenance guys, they were telling me that San Antonio was already unraveled to begin with. In the past, what they have done is they have basically microsurfaced the road instead of trying to make a deep path repairs that is necessary. So basically, all they did was, if there was a crack, they put a crack seal on it, and then they just put microsurface on it. They did not address the issue, the underlying issue of the road itself. So they didn't do that. Instead of doing actual road repair, they actually just put a microsurfacing. And as I stated to the commissioners in the past, when we talk about our annual streets, we usually tend to put microsurfacing on roads that is PCI 70 or better. Basically, all you're trying to do is rejuvenate the oil of the road itself, not structure, fix an issue. Unfortunately, San Antonio has a lot of structural issues. I would not go through and do the microsurface. I would actually go through and actually fix the repair, which is removing that section of the road all the way down to the base rock, made dirt, and recompact and rebuild that road so that we don't have the depression that we see on the road itself. Because, like I stated, this is a federal funded project, we need to make sure that the ADA is in full compliance. We also need to, because the grant also state that we're gonna bring connectivity and making user friendly for all modes of transportation. We also need to go through a certain current of our sidewalks. I don't know if you took a walk around the fire station in Almond. They have a nice little ski jump out there. That was not addressed as part of the grant application. So those are some of the challenges that should have been addressed that was never addressed. So the reason why I'm sharing this information with the commissioner is the fact that I'm trying to set a certain level of expectation of what is this grant about. I know that every time someone mentions San Antonio, they're expecting road widening. They're expecting big bicycle lane with median or something that separates the bicycle lane from the vehicles. They're expecting, one of them was, they're expecting each intersection to be realigned to make it more user-friendly, to allow traffic to flow in better. What's the other one I heard? There is a lot of misconception out there. The intent of this presentation is to have a clear understanding. What is it that we actually want? What is it that we are granted with this funding source? And what we need, what we are trying to, what we should have delivered, but we cannot at this point in time until I do a full analysis of what's really going on. I'm sorry, Commissioner Lee, but this is just strictly information, so I cannot answer any questions.
Actually, we can plan for items on the agenda for future items and decide to bring this up as a topic of discussion.
Not even question, clarify.
No, this is strictly informational purpose only.
The intention to clarify for future items on the agenda, so that way the public at large can be involved and they can ask questions too, and have a public.
Yeah, I'm trying to bring this thing up now because we're at a point where I need to make a decision. What is it we're gonna do? Like I said, we have a $9 million project. 2 million of that is ours because we have to match funds. If this project somehow escalates to 15 million, 15, 16 million that I'm expecting, now we have to make a decision. Is council gonna be willing to go ahead and throw in the difference to make this project work? Or do I go back to MTC and say, I need to find more money. I need you guys to help me out. Or do we walk away from this? I don't know. Third is the nuclear option, which I do not want to pursue. I want to see what we could deliver because San Antonio is a major thoroughfare. I'm very familiar with the fact that high school kids use it on a regular basis. I mean, I look out my office at 7:30 and start seeing kids starting to go through. But it's also very sensitive in the fact that San Antonio is a major thoroughfare for us. So we have to be very careful on the fact that we have the schools on El Capel and as well as Almond, and which has a huge impact. So just want to bring this up to you for your attention.
Thank you, Stephen. Much appreciated. And that we have lots of questions. I have questions that we all want to ask at this time, but we will leave it there and we will find in the future. Thank you.
I'm sure it's going to be a very lengthy discussion.
Well, the hope is that by that time you will have more information collected and done research and we'll be able to continue the conversation at that point. Moving on to discussion items. Number 3 is a update on the joint council meeting debrief. The commission will be briefed and discuss the feedback received from the council. As a reminder, a few of us joined. It was, I'm looking at Commissioner Lee, Clara, and Wes. The 4 of us were there, as well as Stephen and Art. March 10th is in addition to the Senior Historical and Planning Commission. Just for context, before we get into ours, the Senior Commission was presented by the City Council, very general. Historical and Planning Commission, I would say, had a lot of questions, a lot of topics raised, and interesting conversations were had. Unfortunately, as I went back to find the actual meeting itself, it was not recorded, or it's currently not recorded on the website. So I went to intended to capture and write down exactly what was recommended to us from the City Council, but unfortunately, it was not documented.
Is it possible, Scott, that it's just not uploaded yet? Because they streamed it. Like I was seeing us on the camera
The stream,
behind the scene.
We're the camera.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't recorded. Is it not on YouTube?
I didn't look on YouTube. I went to the city website, looked at the minutes for the meeting at 6 p.m. for the special meeting with City Council, and it is not.
I will check with the city.
Yeah.
Because I tried to find the one for the other.
I would be
other one
shocked.
too, and it was like,
I would be shocked.
Yeah,
it wasn't on the
It's
same
not
website.
recording.
Well,
Yeah.
we shocked right now, and maybe there's a reason why.
Yeah.
But ultimately,
Watch the other,
Ah, yeah.
of the other commission.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I'll give a quick debrief for that work present, but ultimately it was, I would say, very easy for us overall. We talked through the 2025 work plan, and our accomplishments, and then focused on our 2026 work plan. They had a few questions and suggestions. I actually looked to the commissioners that were present to help fill in some of the gaps for me. We kind of sometimes have a memory lapse when we're speaking publicly in the scenarios. But we received feedback from a few of the council members, Larry Lang and Don Weinberg, writing suggestions for us to, ultimately continue on and work collaboratively with the city at large on our projects. There was no suggestions for changes. There was no edits suggested, but ultimately proceed forward with our plans.
That's good.
Before I conclude there, does anyone who was present like to provide their own anecdotes or input on what they heard or received?
It is on YouTube.
On YouTube.
It's on there.
Okay, well, thank you. I will look for education. There was specific feedback from John Weinberg that I thought was useful. That's what I hoped to bring specifically to this meeting today, but I don't have it, so.
Yeah, I captured a few things. But what I recall, Councilmember Weinberg saying was that he would encourage us to work with non-geo and sort of surrounding cities, you may have more color on that, Scott, but I definitely captured that as a request that we make sure we're talking to folks that are, this is a conversation we've had a bunch, so I won't even, belabor it too much here, but it's valuable where our city streets intersect with Mountain View streets, that there be a consistency and then that there be a clear ability for folks to traverse across those city lines. And also, I think there's a lot that folks are doing in different cities that we can learn from and use, and get value from. So yeah, I heard that. Also, there's a couple big projects that we know are happening this year and in coming years. And I think that San Antonio might have been specifically mentioned by city council as well. And obviously we're all, very conscious of that, and we'll try to help the city do a good job with it. And yeah, those were the big ones that I got here.
My notes, I have that, they encouraged us to work with neighboring cities, so I have the same, especially Mountain View. And I think we mentioned how you actually worked with the city of Mountain View and Prankster. And then the two capital improvement projects that were mentioned by the council member was the one-way loop in downtown that he just said is going to come to you. So just FYI, that it's important for us, for them, for the council, and the redesign of San Antonio. Those were two important things. And I think he also said something around the importance of community feedback, because they know we're going to get a lot of community feedback, but then our Commissioner Pitka was really good at talking about not only our projects, which was really a great job, I have to say that on the record. That was a really good summary. And then the importance of having a more structured process for community feedback, so that it's more productive for everybody, for the people who speak, for the staff, and for the commission.
Yeah, second that one,
To your point about the study session that's happening at the behest, request of the city council, is that it's currently not on our work plan. It's not to be definitely added in as slotting into one of the areas for downtown accessibility, perhaps, or other particular items. So just because it's not here per se, doesn't mean that we can pick it up. So if it does come before us, there will be a study session for the city council first. We would then get those findings and reports, and then we would either take action this year or in 2027. Michelle, anything you wanted to add? So nothing too radical for us there. Ultimately, we're on the right path, and then we have work to do. And then it leads us into the next piece. But before I do, anything you want to ask, Suresh? Any questions? Nope. Great. Moving on to the 2026 work plan. So the title is Selection of Work Items and Discussion of Formation of Subcommittees or Working Pairs. And now, when we talk about this enough, now comes the time for us to find our passion projects or things that we want to lean into and pick up for this year. We have, as we all can see, 9 high-level projects with sub-projects below. Today, we've heard input and call to action from Mark Siddell regarding Bike Month, which is in May. Art forwarded an email on regarding all the things that I received regarding activities and events happening in the month of May. So that's one thing for us to think about, how we want to lean in and get involved with Bike Month. And then there's obviously, I'm not going to read these off, but the other topics at hand. So there's a few ways we could proceed, right? There's prioritization of these, which is important. So hopefully we can get some, not the priority list, but maybe kind of what we want to pick up today. I'm going to leave it open to the commission at this point in time, commissioners, to state items they're ultimately interested in working on. That could be so much as taking on the idea, creating the formal report by Commissioner Lee, deciding you and someone else care about a project and creating a working pair. There's structures for that within our commissioner handbook. And then if we need to create ad hoc subcommittees, which have time-bound limitations, there's structure to them, and ultimately protect ourselves from the burnout. With the burnout. So I'll leave that there. Does anyone want to lead off discussion or share your thoughts?
We actually officially disassembled the last ad hoc subcommittee officially. Work plan.
Yeah.
So we gotta be careful how, if we need to set up another one, we can officially end it.
We can have multiple.
we didn't officially say,
Yeah.
so.
Because we wanted to get through this.
Exactly, you want to get to the council
That's
thing.
fine.
So does that mean you're gonna officially end it?
But we could put on the agenda to resolve next. week.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's just, just want to make sure we're official, we don't have a subcommittee, and then now you guys can start another one without. But the members of the subcommittee was you, so
Yeah.
the other four members could start.
That's something.
We just can't because this is.
Yeah, so that for the, Commissioner handbook, you cannot be on multiple subcommittees. at
Yeah.
once. You can only.
Straight on the rules on that,
So if you were to formalize, well, make the motion to formalize one today, we need to make sure that we're involved with it.
Yeah.
So you could always resolve today.
No, it has to be
Oh,
We forgot to put it
we
on.
forgot to put that on, that's part of my fault.
That's okay, that's a team effort. So, thank you for that reminder, but no action being taken yet. So does anyone want to start off, bring a topic up of their interest or things they want to work on?
I'll kick us off.
Please.
I feel like I've kind of put together some of the thinking under number 2, so I'm happy to try to drive that. Definitely welcome, contributions from other folks, but happy to just, put my name down for working on that. And I think it looks like we decided that it was a, reasonably high priority, and I think it's one that's sort of actionable. There's a few things in there that, like, we have to see which streets we think are priority sections for this upcoming year, and then we can sort of like see if there's a way to, or if there's value in having signage along those routes. So I think that'll be like a little dependency in time, but I think, there's other stuff on there that's timely to do too, and happy to be part of that.
So I was also going to raise my hand for number 2. Maybe we can start working
Yeah.
until
Awesome.
after, but yeah, I've been paying a lot of attention, in the city of Los Altos, but other cities, how they are doing their wayfinding for safe routes. So I'm really, I'm interested in that project.
Awesome.
I'm not gonna, I guess at this point, I'm not gonna sign anyone or like take any formalized, but I'll take notes and then we can begin to figure out how we proceed forward from there. And I'll say this, you are not required to pick up anything. This is not a requirement. It's nothing. Just pick up the rest.
That's a big number.
I will raise my hand for project number 5. Taking interest in finding ways to improve the road shoulders and parkways for our city. So I won't share anything else of that besides that topic that interests me, and I will be happy to work with anyone who wants to work with me.
Can I ask a question, Scott?
Yep.
Hope you'll go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, I was interested in 6,
Number 6,
but 5 also.
can you share a little bit more about your interests?
Just the, traffic calming and the radar service.
You said number 6 and number.
With 5 is also.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about, is the idea that we sort of all assign folks or folks volunteer for each of these to become like a working pair, or somehow work on this outside of like ordinary, like monthly mission meeting for each of these, so that we can sort of like convene on them and make some progress, or just maybe the first exercise is just seeing if folks have a desire to connect with this work. Yeah.
Yes, and yes. So
Yeah.
you would need to
Yeah.
decide by people seeing I'm interested in this right now.
Yeah.
And then you can decide to make it work in pair for this particular item, and you would work outside and create your own action plan. In the event, multiple people, or we want to create something more formalized for the structure, then we would make a request to make an ad hoc subcommittee for an individual topic, in which case it's agendized and becomes more formal and structured. And then we continue to work. So, yeah.
But we could also divide and conquer.
You
I
can
think
individually take on a topic.
Like,
with no one
like
else.
half the city,
Yeah, exactly.
something like that.
Well, exactly.
Doesn't matter.
You can take on a topic by yourself and say, I care about this and I'm gonna take it on and be leisurely about it, and there's no expectations as well.
Just a thought, which is that I think it's a really good process to identify where we have specific interests. And then I think that would lead to then a discussion of timing and priorities. Because then as if something is near term and something is long term, those of us that may have indicated something that's long term maybe will join someone on the near term project where they need to work in parallel. Sure. So in the interest of where we are right now, I would say one thing that appeals to me is downtown accessibility. And the reason for that is because I ride my bike often. I walk downtown all the time. I never ride my bike through downtown because I don't think it's safe for me as a 1-year-old to ride behind diagonally parked cars. And so I choose not to ride on Main and State Streets. And so I think that, I mean, that has a personal appeal. I recognize that that may not be something that we tackle over the next 90 or 120 days. And so, you know, I'd be willing to give in sort of on another working parasol.
Makes sense. And yeah, plus one, your comment about prioritization, timing, these things, some of these matter more than others. San Antonio would be one. I think I would likely propose that we create an ad hoc subcommittee around it. I think the findings that or the discussion following Stephen's report, and where we proceed forward really dictates how we proceed forward with gathering input from the public at large. At the point, I think we need to have a path forward or an option for plans, and at which point we can determine how we engage public in that process. But right now, I think we're in a holding pattern for things regarding San Antonio until we get that.
Please put me down for number one.
One,
And I be welcome help.
I was just gonna say, I felt like that was for sure the possible. I'd love to help. That's it.
Working pair, please.
if we feel good about where we are right now, time will continue on in this March. We have the year to continue, and we can pick things up as we need to. Makes sense. So I'll leave as of right now, I guess, for just stating what people made interest in for project number 1, Tony and Wes had showed interest. For project number 2, Wes and Clara. Project number 3, Stephen. Project number 6, Scott and Tom. Project number 6, Tom. And the rest are open and or kind of waiting for us to lean into. I guess I'm going to ask for number 8, which is identifying fix 5 unsafe streets. It's something that we hear a lot about from citizens. We get emails from them. We know the challenge areas from Distal to Jordan to Portola, and that's just the north part of the city. I feel like for whatever reason, the north part of our city receives a lot more attention than the southern part of the city. I don't know why that is, but it is true. But ultimately, I think this particular piece would be a useful effort for us to figure out in conjunction with the resurfacing, annual resurfacing plan, and how we align to that. So my question is, Stephen, when would we review that plan again for annual resurfacing to identify those streets? And you said you were going to look at them between the PCI scoring. Where does that fit?
Right now, we just started, we just had a kickoff meeting with our consultants, or the MTC consultants, on assessing the condition of our roads. The timeline they indicated to us is in April. They're going to go ahead and drive through the city. It'll take about 10 days for them to go ahead and basically take on a raw data. And then from there, we should have our first glance at the preliminary finding in about August, September, with second draft in about December, and they have to be done by February of next year.
So this is capturing the information for the future, not to augment the current plan as it stands right now for resurfacing your note. Okay, so
So
that's,
the information I have, all the stuff that I'm doing right now is has to go off the information I have.
gotcha.
I will not have that information until next year.
So when will we as a commission review the current plan or, the Excel sheet with the 10 streets that we were looking at, restriping, resurfacing and painting again?
Give me about 2 months. I should be about 2 months. So,
So the idea, I guess, would be to either in conjunction with your planning or at that meeting, begin to identify or list out the streets that we want to be more comprehensive about. You're obviously aware of these been brought to your attention as well, so it's not a surprise. We'll be working in tandem, but I just want to make sure that we are planned ahead and not trying to figure out after the fact when maybe engineering design has been presented or something like that.
no, the list that you're given is our project list locations that is proposed before we start the design process. So, yeah, you will have plenty of input.
It's basically once you've got a sense of PCI and then how that connects to like high priority streets, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically, what I look at is not just high priority streets. I mean, the PCI, that is one of the numerous things I look at.
Mhm.
But one of the major thing that I'm looking at is safe route to school.
Yeah, totally.
Safe route to school. I'm also looking at bicycle lanes. Where can I make the modification necessary for the bicycle lane to be installed? I believe next year we have Miramonte as one of the micro resurfacing location. And that's becoming a challenge in the fact that we don't have enough width out there to install a bicycle lane. So I'm trying to be creative on how I could put a bicycle lane to meet our safe route to school. But at the same time, Springer's still not done yet, so that still has to be taken as a priority first.
Understood.
So. May I say something?
Please.
So I think, the one thing that I keep thinking about, and I don't want to take us down into a minefield, but I can't help thinking about it, is that with the major projects that are in front of us right now, San Antonio Road, Springer, the stuff that's going on downtown, for just 3 examples, and the amount of funding that we have as a city, there's a lot on this plate that is going to be fairly downstream. And some of these items in my mind are not really well defined. And the one that you just brought up, like the 5 most unsafe streets, right? If somebody were to ask me as a commission member, what is the criteria for what those 5 streets have to meet, I couldn't answer that question. Right? Except that the streets that get the most notice. And so, yeah.
I go looking at the traffic statistics.
That'd be one criterion.
So that could be a criteria, right? So all I'm saying is nowhere is that written down that I've seen it. These are the criteria that the commission or the staff looks at. So here are the 5 criteria that as we look at the unsafe streets in Los Altos, we're going to rank them so that the block that has 20 coherent citizens on it that may write the most letters, theirs doesn't automatically rise to the top, right? I'm not saying that it should or shouldn't. I'm saying, but what is what are those 5 criteria? It would be helpful to just understand that. And I don't want to process it now. I'm just saying that a lot of these things where we want to say, here's the top whatever, I think we need to be able to articulate what the criteria is as a group.
Well, I would say, go ahead, Stan.
Well, I would say yes, and all of these projects don't have defined steps or actions for us to take for each of these pieces.
Right, and that's where these working pairs would come in and assist.
I think developing that is a good idea. And each of these things that we tackle.
And that's like having a framework, we don't have a rubric for us or any commission to say, here's how to work on said things. Like working pairs makes an informal process, something you want to carry forward or you want to see occur. If we take it on as a ad hoc subcommittee, it formalizes it within the commission and therefore draws in city staff because of resources of support or how we want to work with them and how they can support us. So if we chose to create an ad hoc subcommittee around this particular item, and it's a longer particular project, identifying criteria, figuring this out, because it's not, as you said, not just the squeaky wheel gets the grease, then we can have a framework for it and then ultimately use that going forward in the future.
Right, and we can discuss is the best alternative of working fair versa. That's part of that whole discussion.
100%.
Yeah.
Thank you for your input. So for this, I guess number 8 to continue on. 8 is where we hear the most input from the public, right? Like asking us to do something. So I think even though no one's leaning in for this particular one initially, I think I'm going to say this is one of the more important ones for us to think about because it impacts all the other aspects of safety programs, safe routes to school, complete streets master plan. So this is the one I would propose that we create. And if we had to do it in a hot subcommittee where individuals were the group, we're on this, created a framework for this work. And it's going to be a longer term project that ultimately gets us to a place where we have clear definition of why we define what we define and we proceed forward. As you can see the notes on the right there, talk about some ideas on how that short and long-term impacts, traffic calming measures, targeting locations, how do we do that? Removal of road filters, things of that nature. So
I totally agree. That's a really important one. And I think coming up with a little bit more of an idea, granular data and a sense of what we mean when we think about lack of safety. We all experience it across Los Altos. And I think drilling down and having a really good sense across our commission would really be a benefit for a lot of the work we do in the future. So we can really decide about what the impact of various project or interventions would be, all the stuff. We can prioritize work appropriately. We can pick the right streets to work on, so yeah, just totally agree with that. Support. I'll keep plugging like complete streets master plan too. It doesn't have like a silver bullet or anything, but there is a lot of information on where collisions took place historically, right? 5 years ago, correct? Yeah, correct. But also they have, the data sources that we can refresh, ourselves, stuff like that. So lots of good breadcrumbs to build from. But it's all the same list as well.
Okay, well, I think any other thoughts before we start making decisions on any of the individual projects? Suresh, anything you'd like to add? Any wisdom from the past?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Great, so we can't do it all at once because there's obviously people interested in multiple things. But is there anything for the 3 areas that have project number 1, project number 2, and project number 5? We have 2 individuals, which would allow us to do a working pair on any of those topics. I don't know how thin you want to stretch yourself, Tony and Wes, and then Wes and Clara, but you have a little crossover there. Should you want to deepen your work? Do you want to think about this and come back to the commission, or would you like to meet informally, begin your work and efforts, and then decide how you want to report back in the next commission meeting?
We could start on number 2. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay. I'm just making a note, working pair for number 1 and 2. Anything we need to read from the commissioner handbook? You said clarify.
For working fair,
Working pairs,
I think we just gotta be careful about.
ground.
Yeah, we just gotta be careful discussing other stuff.
Yeah.
Did you had to stop the other one first?
That's for ad hoc stuff. So for working pairs, you have the ability,
It's an
informal process. But we can just read it really quickly if we.
I think it's on in the handbook, but,
Okay.
yeah. So we just gotta be mindful of the Brown Act and just be careful of conversations if you are working too, you know what I mean? Don't talk about the other project.
Let's come up and figure about
Don't talk about the other project, basically, just work on your project.
Yeah.
So just be mindful of that.
And then for the other one mentioned for myself and Tom, ready to begin if you are, so let's brainstorm, make sure what this is like, okay? And then there's some individual ones, Stephen, for yourself and Tom, you're free at your will to begin thinking about this and come back and provide the commissioner report. In this process, or just leave it as such and we can pick it up at a future date.
Well, the other thing that I would say for myself, I'm not going to speak for Tom at all, is that if we as a group feel like something like number 8, which is identifying criteria for the top 5 most unsafe streets, I'd be happy to join that individual or group, however we decide to address that to support that activity. And then, and then I could always move on to the other one when the time is right.
Okay. Okay. So for the proposal to have an ad hoc subcommittee, that needs to be agendized, correct?
Yeah,
So
so
then
we can do that.
So I would, I'll make a note and make this recommendation. So we will make number 8 an item, the topic of discussion for identify and fix the top 5 unsafe streets for a future agenda item for us to discuss.
Or you've got the note to end the prior ad hoc. subcommittee.
Well,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's up
There we go.
It's that.
The agenda.
It's on the video too, so I always watch the video before anything else.
You're the best.
Okay. So then I think at this time we have things moving forward in the right direction, and then I think it's just a general, given it's March, April leaves us a month to plan or get involved, and then we move into Bike Month. And there's lots of activities happening around Bike Month, and I can share those later, but if anything is going to happen around engaging Mark Sedell organizations or downtown Los Altos, we need to be mindful about it sooner than later.
Yeah, just back on Bike Month, basically, last couple of years since I've been here, we've had a group of residents, Greentown, actually a couple of commissioners, staff, city staff, planning some of the Bike Month activities that we could do. This year was a little late, so for me that, but I will set up another email, and I think because there's a lot of interest in Bike Month, and we want to continue doing Bike Month for the city. I know we've done there's the proclamation where actually last year we had the a student come to the commission and read the proclamation. Maybe we can get that, back to the city council. Let me, I know it's a late planning, but let me start on that because I know there's a lot of interest with Bike Month and stuff like that. So it was just, we just didn't get, the usual start on this stuff. So I will email some stakeholders. If anybody's interested in being part of planning, please email me and then let me know. I know Scott, I think you were part of that.
I don't know how much I actually did it, but I'm happy to be part of it this year.
Okay, great.
Steve actually, obviously went to Living Electric.
Yeah.
That's great.
There's a few things, but, we could do a few things. We have a banner, like my corporate banner.
Yeah.
We could put up, at Lincoln Park. There's stuff we could do. So, I think we have a couple weeks. I think we could do it. I know you wrote an article last year as part of the Bike Month, but I think we're gonna have time to do an article this year, depending on the time prior.
I'm trying to think of the organization that I'm a part of and got me involved. As a group of individuals, was it downtown Los Altos or something else that?
Well, Mark Sedell was part of that. I know the Greentown was part. Yeah, in fact, it's kind of Mark Sedell's part of the safe routes. But there's a few individuals who will get the contact and then try to get this planning and have something for this office.
Yeah, but if nothing else, we as individuals have the ability to get involved by just going to the various.
We could the streets could do an interjection station. That's what interested in doing that.
Yeah.
I know it'll be nice to have one in Los Altos.
Is there funding for this?
No, but basically the interjection station, I'll send the link when I find it. Basically, they actually give you the stuff to give away, which is kind of nice.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things we could do, but I would definitely, look into the Energizer station. Maybe we could have complete streets, City of Los Altos, kind of, you know, what I mean, like a station. So,
Yeah.
so something like that, like I would kind of be late here, but we'll try to do our best
Yeah,
to get something for City of Los
thanks,
Altos.
Art, for doing this.
So from the working pair aspect, Wes and Clara, if you want to lean in a little bit on this and help kind of bring information back to us, it would be appreciated. It's not your requirement, but it's the right time and all Mark, forwards me things quite often. And I'll make sure that I need to forward on the heart to share with everyone, which is like, for instance, the pledge to ride in 2026, right? There's kind of a bunch of links and
Yeah.
be involved, pass on to your friends. Show everyone. Okay. Well, thank you all. I think we have what we need to continue on with our work. And if you have any thoughts or feedback to review this, I'll update this per our discussions. I'm not going to list on the well, I could, because it's just our notes. Maybe I'll put it in the notes, the proposed ideas for individual and other working pair. And then if your name is associated for a topic, it's something that you're interested in. If you don't have an assignment next to it, it's just something that we can make a note on for the future. So not held liable or required to do it. You're welcome. Okay, well, thank you. Then anything else before we move on to staff updates? Okay, moving on to Step City staff updates.
Well, the one thing is first is I think most of you got the email, I'm not sure if you probably got the email or not.
Nope.
That's weird, but it's basically the planning department. I think some of you already responded about, there's going to be a joint commission, meeting regarding the general plan to discuss that. Instead of them going to every commission, they kind of want to get these 2 dates and get at least, you know, just do a joint and make it a little more. Yeah. Maybe give it Tony.
Yeah.
I don't know why he's not going through the email, but it's basically there's 2 dates on there. I think but we need a quorum. So would you need to attend one? So I think most of you guys basically said, I think it's a June quorum, it'll be 3 or 4 for us. Right? We have 7.
Of the.
Yeah, the commission would have to have a quorum. So each commission has to have a quorum to basically attend.
So are we choosing which date we want?
Well, I think first we wanted to see what date is best for everybody, because I think, unless you guys want a preference, I think, you know. Yeah.
22nd and 27th.
Yeah.
April
Right.
22nd.
So I know most of you said both dates, so you guys decide, and I can go back and let, the planning department know what day you guys prefer.
Does anyone have any?
Yeah, any preference?
I would say, does anyone have any reason they can't attend on April 22nd?
Exactly.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No, see that.
So this Wednesday or Monday, so.
I will be on a work trip in Nashville, so I will not be present.
Okay.
This is a note, so
And
it's on,
our commission meeting would be the week after 27, right?
is on the 29th.
29, so you got 27, 29, so there's pros and cons to it, so.
And is anyone not available to attend on the 27th? No. So,
That's what,
it's either,
you guys, you let me know.
I would love to attend, but, I understand if people would like it not to have 2 commission meetings in the same week.
Right,
So,
this is supposed to
up to you. And I can always watch the meeting, so, we can vote. So all in favor of having it on the 22nd? I'm not gonna, please do not. Yeah.
So you want to have it Wednesday, or you want to have it on Monday?
We have 3 in favor on the 22nd and all in favor on the 27th.
I don't.
Abstain, I don't care.
So have it on the 27th, so at least everybody looks at, you make it on the 27th, right?
Okay, yeah. Let's do it.
Right, is that fair?
Yeah.
Since everybody can make it on the 27th,
Fine.
let's just, we don't want to exclude Saturday, this is general plan.
Yeah.
So let's do the 27th.
Yeah. Stop.
Remember, we come back and say, can you guys make it on 27th?
Yeah.
We said yes, then us,
Yeah.
yes.
That's that case.
But-
That's the proceed.
have a quorum. Yeah, we have quorum, and we have quorum on 22nd, but I'll let the planning department know, the 27th is our preference,
Okay.
because we have all the commissioners coming, 22nd, and let you know, so, but I'll definitely put 27th.
Well, the beauty of it not being on the 22nd, you have the ability to attend an Earth Day festival event or fair. So for what it's worth, you agree. Not too loud, so.
27th and then the 22nd.
Okay, thank you. Anything else regarding the general plan update?
That's all I know about, they're gonna discuss on that,
Okay.
so. And it's, Stevie, any updates? Stevie?
Any updates for us?
It's got like my kids, so.
I'm still trying to go through all this.
Suresh? Do you ask Suresh if he has a preference?
You can, you can have all,
Okay.
you heard me 22nd.
I was okay on for both dates, 22nd or the 27th.
He replied to my email, so. But 27th is when everybody can work.
Commissioners have been requesting information about the MUTCD. They're doing some extensive reading on the new manual. There's two manuals that has to be reviewed. One is the federal highway, MUTCD, and the California, MUTCD. California was kind enough to prepare us like a Reader's Digest version, 30-page worth.
Wow.
Of what the changes that was made on the federal, on the California level. On the federal level, I'm still going through it because they do not comply at Reader's Digest. So I have to go through and line by line look at 1,300 pages, I believe. But just kind of looking through the modifications, it looks like the new manual basically is the old MUTCD was more vehicle centric, where it gives you more guidelines on the circulation, traffic safety, those type of stuff, which has always been the case in past MUTCD. This year is a little bit different in the fact that the MUTCD is no longer concentrated on vehicle centric. They are more concentrating on multimodal transportation. So in the federal level, the MUTCD has new chapters regarding crosswalks. What are some of the crosswalks that is being recommended? Where you should be installing crosswalks and things like that. It talks about that, but in the California MUTCD, is taking on the flavor of applying AB 43 as well as the daylight requirements with the federal guidance. So they're talking about how to reduce speeds on road to not just concentrating on 85 percentiles, but to look at the designation of the surrounding, including schools, hospitals, senior center, as well as any point of high volume pedestrian generating traffic to be considered as part of the design process. And what are some of the things that, if those things do apply, what are some of the things that you should be applying? He's also making it very clear on classification of the road as well as the speed of the road and what is it that we need to do with respect to the bicycle and vehicle separation. They're talking more extensively on those kind of stuff. So typically when a new MUTCD comes out, there is actually a course that we all sign up for and go and take the refresher course that talks more in depth of what those changes are. Unfortunately, those are not being offered in the spring or summer, is actually being offered in the late fall. So if the commissioner really wants to fully understand what is an MUTCD, what modification that has been done, I could sit there and read through the whole 1,300 pages of the federal guidelines. I've already gone through and looked at the state Reader's Digest, and basically it summarizes all the AB 43, how that is applied, how the traffic volume, how the speed are posted, and things like that. Unfortunately, a lot of the things that we can utilize as part of the AB 43 does not apply to us. because we don't have an official radar survey for the city. And we cannot reduce the existing posted speed limit because it was artificially reduced by council by ordinance. So since there was no engineering study that was done to back up what the council has codified, is the reason why PD cannot enforce the speed limit out there. Is the reason why the speeds keep going up into these various areas. Now, with that in mind, some of the areas that doesn't apply is the residential. That is mandated by the state. So if it is not considered residential, you automatically go 25 miles per hour. We already had the option of reducing speed on school zones, which we have already implemented. One of the things that PD is also asking us in engineering or asking me is, can you just go through all the schools and look, make sure all the proper signage is there so that they can go ahead and enforce the school zones? So I think we have come to the conclusion that most, if not all, the school zones does comply and they're able to enforce it. But we still go through and check on it yourself, and I request her to go and take a look at those type of areas and document as much as I can. But in high level, the new requirements are more pedestrian bicycle centric, not just vehicle centric anymore.
I'll make a request, so you don't have to create a formal report. Would you mind sending us those links to the Commission at Large, both for the federal and state, and we can digest them on our own, and please, if we have questions, and we can.
And is that short version digest version online too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have a quick follow-up question. And I know I missed the last meeting, so I may have missed something, but it's been months now since we've been talking about the lack of a current radar survey. And we were told by our city manager that the consultants would be hired to go do that. But it doesn't seem to be on anybody's priority list.
Actually, we have awarded a contract to a consultant to do some radar survey already. Some of the areas that PD is requested are El Camino. We are doing a radar survey there. We did one on Foothill. I believe San Antonio was one. Those it or
Do we know the dates that they're gonna be doing that?
they have already started. In fact, they asked if we could go up there last Thursday, I believe. Was it last Thursday or?
They were supposed to be last Tuesday and Thursday, right?
Yeah, so.
They got all that information now.
Yeah, so they've already gone through and taken the volume count to determine what is the peak hours that they could actually go out and do the actual radar survey.
So that's good news. So once that's done, then we will have what we need, should those streets need any traffic calming.
We will have what we need for me to make a pitch to the city manager for us to do the rest of the city.
Like a pilot or a sample of the city, is that what this is?
This is basically a sample to try to justify the rest of the city. Once this is done, we have something better than trying to figure out how to calm the traffic. It now allows PD to start going up there and servicing radar and slow the traffic. So no amount of engineering could really truly slow the traffic unless you actual code enforcement and the police enforce the force.
Great, thank you.
So just for timing, so the sample, the city radar survey is underway, and then for timelines, when would this go, the work be completed, and when would it go to the city for review for full potential approval?
Did they give us a schedule on when they're going to build radar?
No.
Maybe we can discuss that, or you can bring it up in a next city staff report for us. Thank you.
What would the other streets do after those?
We need to determine what is going on out there first. This is a pilot study, so
the first one, then it's good enough.
yeah, Los Altos is a little bit different. In fact, in other cities, speed survey is done at staff level and is administrative policy at staff level. Our policy is we can't do that without council approval.
Who changes that? How does that change?
Other cities, it's basically decided by me. But us, I need the council,
So it would have to be something the city council would have to change, to be like other cities.
yeah, we would have to just basically,
The city council that you should do it in that process.
the council.
We need to petition the city council to make a change.
Let me go through my process right now before we go open up that can of worms. Unfortunately, we have gone too long without, being able to enforce our speed.
Yeah.
So if I were to do an 85% out, I would not be surprised if we actually have to increase our speeds because we have gone too long with that.
Any other updates for us?
Any other happy news you want to hear?
Oh, we just come out for bids for the homestead.
Oh, yes.
You want to bring that up? So,
We are currently requesting a formal, proposal from a consultant to evaluate. Can we go ahead and put a traffic signal right there at Grant and Homestead, right at that intersection?
right,
So
Cherry
that,
Joe's.
yeah, so that Grant Road, when it comes to an end, you know how he has to slowly kind of go across the median, stop, and then make a left turn. Can we signalize it so that it works in tandem with the traffic signal at Foothill and Homestead? And at the same time synchronize it so that it works with the traffic signal at Cherry Joe. So all three locations are working in unison to allow an opportunity for pedestrians as well as bicyclists to
So
cross.
essentially replace that stop sign.
Yes.
If you wait a little while, the county is going to replace that and then say you can't go straight south on Grant. That was their proposal that we just heard.
Well, but that was.
As part of their bicycle feasibility study,
You must
Yeah.
turn right there.
I don't see that happening.
I'm just saying,
I know, they told me the same thing, and first place, for them to go ahead and talk about those kind of stuff, they kind of get our feedback. So, but they have not approached us on the idea of doing that. They did not come back and talk to us about the possibility, are we interested in closing some of the roads that they're proposing for the bicycle lanes? I mean, they did talk about a lot of stuff, so it's like, they're kind of putting the cart before the horse at this point.
Thank you.
Yes.
Moving on to commissioner reports. We'll go around the room in clockwise orders. Commissioner Rowe, any reports? We have to share.
Well, along the lines of what we were just discussing, on Monday, I attended the Foothill Expressway multimodal feasibility study meeting. This is the second of two meetings they have done to collect feedback from the community. And I mean, of course, no decisions have been made. In fact, we have the flyer there. So they're proposing, different alternatives, alternative 1 and 2 for all of Foothill, pretty much all the way from like Homestead all the way to Stanford and University and everything. So it was interesting. I mean, nothing particular to report that affects the commission at this stage, but of course they're looking into different ways to make that route more bike friendly, more pedestrian friendly, and for both. Which was not clear out of the meeting, like what is it that they're trying to accomplish? Is it bike, is it pedestrians, is it both? Yeah, but I can see how some of the alternatives that they presented would affect the city of Los Altos, and I can imagine we'll eventually get to, of course, Stephen Art and potentially the commission, since there are some routes that suggest, going into the city streets as alternatives for biking. So, but it was, the only report is that I attended, and it was interesting to listen to the questions and the presentation and the comments from the following.
And in addition to that, they are holding a virtual community meeting on Zoom tomorrow at 6:30. So if you want to see that,
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
tomorrow at 6:30 on virtual Zoom. So it's on their website. If they forward that website.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Just to let the commissioners know what they presented. As I'm trying to rebuild all the HCDs. some of the stuff that they're proposing, maybe we're going to have to think more about it because the MTCD now requires certain things on a road that is high speed, high volume. Some of the barrier separation that is requirements. So they're gonna have to go back to the books and kind of apply some of what they're proposing. Is it really feasible? Given the requirements. So.
I'll tack onto that and not add it into my report then. So it was a study session, as I said, this is the second one. The first one was in 2025. And they proposed two ideas, two very radically different ideas without any budgetary implications involved. Council member John Weinberg was there, asked that question, they didn't have much of an answer for it. I don't think it's their charter at this time to have a budget scope for it, but 1 and 2 were very different in that scope and what that looks like. And if you want to provide your feedback there, and one of the things, there's a QR code if you want to scan it when the meeting's done. Sorry, Suresh, you can't scan it, but you can provide it
On the website too.
on the website until April 15th. You can provide your input and ultimately share your thoughts with the organization. So
I would just say it's a very simple survey if you haven't taken it. And there's room for comments within the survey context.
and then as a general note, I guess with that, if nothing else, if they were not to implement anything of safety or modifications of the road, the one thing that we would benefit from or would focus on is intersection improvements, which is where the biggest safety issues occur. So restriping, looking at all the different, some geometry, slipways, things of that nature. So even if this feasibility project gets, substantially narrowed, we would still benefit from the safety aspects of, I think it was 16 or 11, 16 intersections between Juniper Cerro, which is the northern part of El Monte, and Sand Hill Road, and then in Cooper. Right?
I also attended, my take is that they were producing two alternatives that are completely unrealistic and does not deliver what they're trying to achieve. And it's very questionable whether there is actually a need for a multi-use path along Foothill. Who exactly is going to want to take a walk on that freeway?
Yeah, I agree.
They seem to have their process backwards. They don't seem to be actually listening to input. And the people doing it are not bicyclists. So very, very difficult to understand that this is going to go well. What we really want out of this are the intersection improvements plus a class 2 bicycle lane, and that's it.
One of the questions that's I'm constantly asking the county is who's your target audience?
Yeah.
Because right now, if you're a bicycle, hardcore bicyclist, you're gonna use Foothill whether it's there or not.
And you probably won't use
Worse,
a separated area.
Yeah,
we're gonna leave the shoulders, and that's what we're gonna use, period, full stop, no question.
yeah, so,
So what they're doing is useless for us.
yeah, and if you are trying to bring the kid to Foothill, personally, without a barrier, you're not gonna wanna have a young kid running on Foothill.
One kid on a side street on
No, you
Foothill.
definitely don't want pedestrian on Foothill. But that's what I keep asking them over again is, who's your target audience? Who are you trying to design for?
Yeah.
Because it makes no sense right now.
And that's what most of the people attending kind of said, uncommented, right? Who's your audience? What are you trying to solve? Avid bikers were there saying doesn't make sense. So
Yeah, I mean, there's an option number 2 of going back and forth in the road. That makes no sense because who's gonna wanna go here to figure out how to cross? There's no wayfinder to say cross here. So it just,
but now that I think of project number 2, a couple of people did bring up at that meeting the intersections and how there are kids who actually cross Foothill every day going to school. So it is a safe route to school, the intersections and the crossing. So that would be, as you guys were saying, that one of the big potential improvements of this project is intersection,
Fixing
which
those,
will improve safe route.
fixing any or many of those intersections would be a huge safety improvement for most times. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll close I guess that was a general commission report on the Foothill Expressway feasibility study, so thank you all who attended. If you want to attend more, and there's also a link from Stacy, the emails that were sent forward, number 2 covers the topic as well. But moving on,
Nothing else.
I'll go last. No. Suresh?
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what Mark Seidel mentioned about the Los Altos Electric Fair. The PD, I think, is committed to be there. It'll be great if a couple of commissioners can attend as well, like last year. It's an opportunity to understand questions, maybe talk about safety, especially with e-bikes. So if there's anybody, please reach out to Mark and see if you're available. We want to make sure that we don't violate any quorum issues. So that if you're available, please let him know, and then we can try to figure out a way to make sure that we don't have any quorum issues or any Brown Act issues. Sorry. And again, this is on May 3rd, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Do you need any volunteers? Are you asking for support or help, or does?
No, just volunteers from the commission to officially represent the commission at the fair.
Yeah, I think it's good. I'd love to be there.
Can you, Suresh, would you mind sending out an email through Art to kind of ask for signups or more information on that so we can formally engage?
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Then from my report, I was going to call out one thing from the March BTA BPAC report we received from Stacy Banerjee. Was specifically item number 1, the BTA is doing a cross-barrier connection plan. They're looking at the locations, which are Foothill Boulevard and 280 off-ramps, the Magdalena Underpass, Homestead Road, Fremont, Almonte, and that was all that was listed. So the survey opens up from April 1st to the 26th, and there's a virtual meeting on April 22nd. But if you were to look at Stacy's email that was sent on to us, there's a link in there with the survey and plan. So for bicyclists or anyone else, please have a look at it. And then, as a reminder, I'm negligent. Our commission training is required to be completed by Melissa Thurman. Thurman has reminded me several times. So I guess it's file 700 or something like this in your email box. If you haven't taken it, please do.
The form 700.
It's the annual requirement for. I should know more about it, but I sent my box and it's a pin to the top. So
Conflict of interest.
conflict of interest. Yeah.
It's easy. It's a minute.
Making a mile and
Some of us have taken it and have early Palestine.
yeah.
I was like, I wish I had more assets to disclose.
Don't we all? Great, I think that captures my reports. Lastly, or second to last, potential future items for the agenda. Currently, we have 2 stated. One, dissolving the ad hoc subcommittee 2026 work plan. Second one would be to form an ad hoc subcommittee for number 8, which is identify and fix the top 5 unsafe streets in the city. Any other agenda items Commissioner would like to propose?
Discussion. I think. I don't know whether staff would propose this, but given the 2 information items that we had today, it seems pretty important that we have San Antonio Road on our agenda for our next meeting.
I concur. Yeah, and San Antonio Q&A, we can formalize it in some way or manner. Yep, I agree. So the Art and Steve and Wes, we can determine how to structure that in a next meeting. Obviously, it's a month between now and then. You'll have information for us to share about how do we want to proceed forward with this, given the impact that it will have to what the city does and how we actually begin doing that work. Any other agenda items or topics people would like to bring up or discuss?
I am I need to formally request the the commissioner discuss El Portal, the bicycle lane. The resident is requesting a formal action. So if you can agendize and discuss,
Avenue, right?
What's all?
Egan,
Right in front of, yeah.
so right now, that, like I stated in, previous presentation, that road is designed for safe route to school with Cheryl. But the resident would like to see a bicycle lane be installed on that.
So given the formal request from the resident, what is our options for a discussion of
Are we?
West Portola, East Portola?
Are we sending out notifications to residents so they come out? And
Well, the discussion I need to have with the commissioner is this something that we want to do first place? If it is something that we want to do, then and we want to proceed with it, we need to have a formal discussion with all the residents because it will have an impact on their park.
Is this West Portola and East Portola?
Well, it's going to impact them both because the whole thing is zip us.
I think the residents requesting no parking on West Portola, which is in front of Bowles and Egan. Right, not requesting a modification of the East Portola across the way from San
But
Antonio.
if we're going to put bicycle lane on one side, we're going to be consistent with the bicycle lane on both sides.
We discussed this, there's no room.
There's no room, but
Yeah.
it was a discussion and the resident would like a formal decision on. what-
How is that a formal request?
Yeah, but-
Anything else that?
We have to go grade it.
If you're not going to respond to the resident basically saying we don't have the room for it, and we would not recommend it.
What do you think is required for formality? Like you send an email or?
She would like to come and talk. She would like to come and present as to why we should go and put the bicycle lane in. And so,
I mean, I guess it's up to the commission
Didn't we
if
ask
that's
her?
warranted.
So that,
Yeah.
I thought we asked her to say, yeah, right, and no, we invited her, right? We invited her to come and see, but.
Perhaps a way to address this and perhaps other individual comments like we heard from Distal, which was like, take action. What do we do?
Yeah.
This individual resident today with her and her husband, take action. What do we do? And in a lot of these scenarios where, we have requested for us to take action and oftentimes aren't able to because of road geometries or governing principles. Perhaps I think maybe in the ad hoc subcommittee of number 8, which is identified, maybe as we formalize this particular ad hoc subcommittee, bring it up to the city at large for people to come and express their concerns of stated areas where they think that we should focus our attention. And then we could begin to say, great, we chose to address that street or road segment. And then we as a commission can formally state or some validity whether we choose to or not choose to proceed. That would be a way. Otherwise, we have now 3 on the top of my mind that people asking us to do something, in which case we've either analyzed it and said no, and they would like something else, or we haven't analyzed it yet. So that, I'm trying to frame this into like a bucket of these topics.
I think that's a great idea, and I think that, I think it's a great idea.
They should put it on the stuff.
Okay, so what formal request did you address versus somebody that comes in here and or sends a letter to Art and forward on us? What differentiates that?
Not a whole lot. I mean, if the commissioner feel like you guys have addressed the issue, then we respond back because I'm saying commission recommendations, not.
Because I don't think that everybody can say, I have a formal request.
Yeah.
Via their email, or do we have a?
If you want, then I will go ahead and respond to the residents and the commissioner does not feel it's necessary to put bicycle in because of X, Y, Z.
Sorry, you're shaking your head.
I actually.
I think,
I was a commission.
Suresh, please.
no, I think, I'm not sure, I think I agree with the chair's suggestion that this has to go into the become an input into our process by identifying the streets. And so we have a better process to do this. I don't know if the commission can make a statement saying at this time, saying that we have reviewed it or, we can't take it up. I don't know if we have enough information to say that. I think you should just make it a part of the process. I agree with you.
Okay, so Stephen, at this time, you could, the resident know that we will, that we have a process. If you want to state that it's on the agenda for us to form an ad hoc subcommittee to address unsafe streets, and that we'll be making call to action for residents to come speak on behalf of their particular issue, and that will be the forum in which we can collect and then begin to identify.
I want to exercise eminent domain and.
And we'll have you go through the formal process. So we'll have a formal process. Please.
I don't want all the time, but I just want to say, for the interest of informing everybody. On West Portola, one of the main feeder streets is Linden. And I've had 4 residents on Linden approach me because I walk there a lot and say, we know you're on the streets commission. Would you please raise an issue with safety issues on our street? And I say, come and speak to our commission, and let us know what you think. They don't show up. But I just wanted you to be aware that this is part of that whole area right there.
I agree. I've also had, Councilmember Larry Lang send me an email regarding challenges on Jordan Avenue and being a safe route to school and several other neighbors as well. So similar antidotes. But I think creating the mechanism by which we collect things and also use statistics and or other metrics from the city to identify places, and then we can focus our energy on a given answer. But yeah. So Stephen, per the request of the city citizen, do you have what you need to give them an update and let them know that we're working on this?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Tell them,
So we're gonna talk more.
yeah, let them empathetically say that we hear your concern and we're sorry, and you feel unsafe, but ultimately the commission is aware, and we'll be reviewing. We look forward to their input.
You should be a lawyer.
Not a lawyer.
We got one on here.
A lawyer.
As a future agenda, we're gonna talk about Berrien Spring.
Can you tell me what we need to speak about, Jerry?
The president asked about,
That falls into that bucket. So the bucket of, once the subcommittee is created, and we have a process and a means to saying, how do we address this particular street? Because there's only so much money, time, and energy we can focus on for an entire city. So then we begin to prioritize and look at how to address.
the reason why I'm asking the question is because I need to, if it is something that the commission does want to talk about, I need to forward you the email response I sent to the president as to why we did what we did.
I would request that you do send it to, given we've received the feedback from one in person and also by email from the citizen. If you're willing to share that with the commission as well, so we can see the rationale and reasons for why their street curb was painted red, I think that'll give us good context and also help us learn as we go into other challenges like this. So, thank you, Stephen. I think that captures it all. So we have 3 items on the agenda for next meeting, and then any potential reports from working pairs that people want to bring up and give us updates. Anything else? Great. We're moving on to adjournment. It is 7:55 and move to adjourn the meeting. Be spring, everyone.
Hi, Sebastian. You need to go by last time.
Thank you. I will see you next time in person. Okay, bye.
All right, bye, Sebastian.
You guys.